we're going to vote on in the November general election. All right. I got the amendment up here. Then I'm going to give a 30-second blurb on my opinion of it. And anybody that wants to just give a 30-second blurb on the opposite side of me, probably Paul Workman, is we're not going to have a debate. I'll say my piece. For the sake of discussion, Paul can say his piece, and then we'll move on and we'll do another vote.
So you will give us a chance to tell you why you're wrong?
I will give you a chance to tell me that you disagree with me. That's fine. Okay? Proposition 1. This constitutional amendment increases the amount of the resident homestead exemption for ad valorem tax,
Otherwise known as property.
otherwise known as property tax, for public school purposes, for $15,000 to $25,000, providing for a reduction of the limitation on the total amount of ad valorem tax that may be imposed for those purposes on homestead of an elderly or disabled person to reflect the increased exemption amount, authorizing the legislature to prohibit a political subdivision that has adopted an optional resident homestead exemption from ad valorem tax from reducing the amount of a repealing the exemption and prohibiting the enactment of a law that imposes a transfer tax on a transaction that conveys fee simple title or real property. All right. My blurb is, I'm sure that, first of all, I'm sure all of these are going to pass. I'm sure this will pass because people think they're getting lower taxes. I had hoped, there was a fat chance of it, that the legislature would actually follow the RPT platform plank, where we support the abolishment of property tax. But in the interim, property taxes should be paid on the price of the property when it was initially purchased. In other words, if I bought my house for $100,000 10 years ago, that now they're telling me it's worth $250,000, so now I have to pay tax on $250,000, but my income, I can guarantee you, hasn't gone up as much as they think my house has gone up. So I'm voting no on this because this is not what we asked for. We asked for getting rid of property tax. If anybody in here wants to take the other side and give a 30-second blurb,
Yeah.
go.
Because, I mean, you're not going to get everything you want all at once. I think this is a good next step, and I guarantee you I'd be for this.
Okay.
There you go. Now you get to vote. Yes, no, or don't know. I got 30 responses, 32 responses. I don't know where that 33rd one is. Going once, going twice. Answer is, all right, 81% of you agree with Wally. Next.
Maybe the last time that ever happens.
Probably not.
Make sure you go home and tell Linda.
I know, really.
Proposition 2. The constitutional amendment authorizing the legislature to provide for an exemption from ad valorem taxation of all or part of the market value of the residence homestead of a surviving spouse of a 100% totally disabled veteran who died before the law authorizing a residential homestead exemption for such a veteran took effect. All right, this is basically to clean up Proposition 1 from 2013 when we gave spouses of veteran, 100% disabled veterans a tax break. I'm against this because I think as a conservative that we should treat everybody the same when it comes to tax breaks.
Everybody but the veterans.
I think we should treat everybody the same when it comes to tax breaks. So that's why I'm voting no. Is there anybody want to take the other side?
I agree with you on this one. I mean, I'm not against veterans, but I agree with what
Go
you're saying.
ahead.
I want to just, as a supplemental point, say, and if we pass this, what are we going to have to clean up 2 years from now?
Okay.
If it
If
goes
we
up.
pass this, what do we have to clean up again in 2
Yeah.
years?
All right. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? All right. Let's vote. I have a question
Can't believe
Green light
that.
means the counted.
Green light means it's worked, okay?
Where's the light? Oh,
31, 32. I don't know where that 33rd one was the first though. All right. And we got a 59-38, so yes, it passes. Not very well, not as well as the first one did. Constitution 3, Constitution Amendment to repeal the requirement for state officers elected by voters statewide residents in the state capital. Whether you know it or not, right now there is a law that says if you're a railroad commissioner, you can't live outside of Austin. All right. I personally, this is one of the ones that I am for in this day and age. You should be able to live anywhere you want. You can do your job 90% of the time telecommuting. And if you live in San Antonio and you want to drive to Austin, feel free. So I'm for this one. Anybody against it, want to talk to you. Next, let's vote on that one.
here it is, TJ. Here's 31.
There's 31, that's all I got for closing. And the answer is 90% for it, 10% against it. Next one, Constitutional Amendment authorizing the legislature to permit professional sports teams, charitable foundations to conduct charitable raffles. I'm dead set against this. Okay, again, we are back to the what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I mean, why should we give professional sports teams or veterans or anybody else a better deal? Why should we be trying to pick winners and losers? I believe this constitutional amendment is saying yay, yay for the sports teams, to heck with the Catholic Church. So I'm a hard no on this one. Anybody want to stand up in favor of this?
You know, I think I'm probably against it too, but the only thing I'm thinking of is the charities that reach out to some of these sports teams because they have the ability, they have the resources to do this. But I don't understand why we would need a constitutional amendment.
Because gambling is illegal in Texas.
Well,
That's why we need a constitutional amendment.
well,
Sorry.
but so that would be considered gambling.
It is considered gambling. And that's why we need a constitutional amendment.
Oh, that's right. The raffle is considered gambling. Oh, okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm not for that. I'm not for that.
all right, and now you can take a vote. Mine's not working. And we got 32. Almost everybody's against this one. Number 5, constitutional amendment to authorize counties with population of 7,500 or less to perform private road construction and maintenance. What this constitutional amendment actually does is changes this number. Right now in the Constitution, it's 5,000 or less, and it changes to 7,500 or less. I'm going to vote for it, but I would have liked to have seen it say to authorize counties with a population of anything over 12 to be able to use private construction. But I'm voting for this, but all it does is changes it from 5,000 to 7,500. Anybody want to go the other way? We got 5 people that don't care. And we're done. Okay, we got a yes. Constitutional amendment recognizing the right of people to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife subject to laws that promote wildlife conservation. It doesn't do me any good looking at my paper because yesterday it was all just question marks because I didn't have any clue what this was about. Today I finally got off my backside and I called Congressman Creighton, or Senator Creighton, and said, what is this? It seems that there's been a number of states throughout the country that have banned fishing and hunting things because of a bunch of left-leaning, tree-hugging people, and this is to stop that from happening. The way I understand it, I'm voting for this. Anybody get it?
That's the correct answer. I mean, it's the
correct answer.
It's to preempt somebody from trying to pass an ordinance that prohibits fishing or hunting and that sort of thing.
You mean like in a local county, somebody could do something
Yeah.
locally that, and this would supersede that?
Right. He told me Michigan or Wisconsin or Minnesota,
Maine, Maine too.
okay, had passed a law that you can't dove hunt anymore,
Right.
okay?
Well, somebody up there just needs to be shot. Crazy.
So I'm voting yes, and that sounded like everybody else agreed.
I can't.
All right.
This guy is.
And I got all 31. And hey, look at that, only one person wanted it. Adam, you have to always be the one person to vote no.
Wasn't this time?
Right, you used to be
I don't know, you look pretty.
All right.
I know, you look guilty.
This one might take a minute instead of 30 seconds. All right. Constitution Amendment dedicating certain sales and use tax revenues and motor vehicle sales use and retail tax revenues to state highway funds to provide funding for non-toll roads and the reduction of certain transportation-related debts.
Is that diversion?
This is not diversion. What this does is this takes a certain amount of sales tax from car sales tax and it puts it towards roads. Well, to me, this is robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay? We're going to take money out of the general fund. We're going to take money that was going to go to the general fund and we're going to put it to roads. At the same time, your gas tax, by constitutional decree, 25% of it goes to education, which basically comes from the general fund. So, in my opinion, instead of the legislatures doing the right thing, which is given as a constitutional amendment to stop that 25% diversion, all right? And they said, oh no, because then we would have to fight with the educators, and God forbid, we know that the educator lobbies, they're not going to give you money if you vote against them. In fact, they may just come after you, Dawn.
They already are.
All right? So, I'm against this because the legislature should have gotten rid of that 25% diversion. We shouldn't be robbing from Peter to pay Paul. And so I'm a hard no on this. Paul, why don't you give your 2 bits on this one?
Well, because you've got a false argument because you're trying to compare the 25% that constitutionally dedicated education to something that's designed to do for roads. So in 2013, the House had a bill that would have would have done away with the 25% that constitutionally dedicated and used another source to the same amount to go to the schools. And that got killed on the Senate side, and it wasn't something that we could get done. What this does is it says when we reach $28 billion in sales tax revenues, the next $2.5 billion goes to roads, non-toll roads. If we don't reach $28 billion, the additional money doesn't go to roads. But it's strictly a way to get more money in for transportation in our state, and it's the best way that we could come up with to do it. So it's a $28 billion floor, then the next $2.5 billion goes for roads.
Well, I know I told you I wasn't going to debate this, but
No.
I'm going to ask a simple question.
No debate.
That's not debate, it's a simple question. Why the 25% that's being taken out of gas tax now is worth close to $2.5 billion? Okay, so why not just get rid of that diversion?
I would like to get rid of that. I would like to take and use all that money from gas tax towards roads, but
Okay.
But for the reason you've already said, that isn't gonna happen.
It ain't.
Because the teachers ain't gonna let it happen. So this is one thing we can do, and I think I would be for it for that reason.
All right. Again, you're for it. We'll see if you win this time. I'm saying no.
I'm saying this. You are bad. You are bad.
I only got 30 responses. I need one more, or somebody's gonna say that I cheated.
Like trouble, like.
Now we only get 30. Going, gone. And TJ loses again. All right. So that's the way these clicker things work. All right.
Very cool.
So take that back to Linda. Tell her that's how they work.
Yep.
Again, I've used those in a
What do you
convention with
how much
350.
10,000 of these cost?
I have no clue. I know that it cost me I think it was $20,000 to buy 350 of those and the software and everything. But you can rent them. But tell Linda that's how it works, and we'll talk about it later. All right. Now to that. Last month we went around the room and asked everybody in here